Hi guys, my name is Deratailor. Welcome back to my channel, and on this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to make this circular flare short as you can see above. If it's something you're interested in, then keep watching. So this is what I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using a wrapper to make this. For this tutorial you could use any fabric of your choice. You could use a chiffon, you could use a silk, a milkado silk, any one of your choice. So what I'm just going to do here is I'm going to be using my paper to show you how to fold it, how to fold a flare. So I'm going to be using my paper to show you. So now this is the top part. This part I marked with my marker over here. So what you're just going to do is you're just going to bring one part and fold it into half a triangle. So you could see the way I folded it. I folded it into half a triangle. So you're going to do the same thing with your fabric that you're going to be working with. You are folding it into half a triangle. You can see what we did here, folding it into half a triangle. And then the next thing you're going to do is to measure out your waist circumference. What you are going to do is to measure out your waist circumference. So using my paper, I measured out my waist circumference and I marked it as my waist. So if your waist is 6 inches, all you just have to do is to indicate it there, your waist circumference divided by 2. So that's it. Then from the point of your waist circumference, you're going to come down by your desired length. The length, that's how long you want your shorts to be. That's how long you want your shorts to be, right? So you're just going to come down by your desired length from the point of your waist circumference, and you're just going to connect the lines together. I hope you understand what I did, connecting the lines together. And this part I marked it as my length area. You could see what I just did over here. You could see what I did over here. The next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead to cut it. After cutting it, this is what it's looking like after I was done cutting. So I then turned it, and then I'm just going to go ahead to measure out my crotch area. Don't worry guys, I'm still going to do this on my fabric, but I'm just showing you on a paper just so you understand. And then I went ahead to mark out my crotch. After marking out my crotch, I'm just going to connect it to the top part. You could see the way I did. And then the bottom part also, I'm going to measure how separated I want it to be. So it was half an inch I took. I then connected the lines together, and then I'm just going to go ahead to cut this out. So this is just using a tiny paper illustration. This is just what I'm doing using a paper. That is how you cut your flare shorts. So this is what makes it different from your normal shorts, is that this you cut it in a flare like manner, right? That's just what makes it different. So using my wrapper now, let's just get straight into the main tutorial. I folded it just the way I folded my paper into half a triangular form. Remember how we folded our paper? So that is just how I folded it, guys. That's just how I folded it. You could see I folded it into half a triangular form. So what I'm just doing is I'm just placing it just to make sure it is as smooth as possible. So I'm just going to do a little calculation here with my paper. So my waist is 24 inches. That's my waist circumference is 24 inches. 24 divided by 2 for the front and the back is 12. So 12 for the front, 12 for the back. And then because it's going to be on fold, 12 divided by 2 again is going to give me what, 6 inches, right? Now this is going to give me 6 inches because it is on fold. Now because this is a flare and I am going to be printing it, because this is a flare and I'm going to be printing it, I will not use 6 inches. I will add 5 inches for the sake of printing. When I print it, it's now going to give me 6 inches. So 6 plus 5 is 11 inches. If you do not want to add 5, if you want your own to be very pleated, you can make it like 10 or 12, but I made my own 11 inches. I made my own 5 inches. So this is now our waist. We are going to be working 11 inches. I hope you understand what we calculated here. remember how we took our waist circumference, right? So that's just what we are going to do. Remember, our waist circumference here now is 11. So what I'm just doing, I'm just placing my tape on the top part of it, making sure that I get 11 inches at the waist area. So I'm just adjusting my tape until I get 11 inches, and the point where I get 11 inches, I'm just going to mark a straight line using my tape as my guide. I've marked a straight line at the top part of it. I just marked a straight line, and this is 11 inches, as you can see. Remember, my main waist circumference is 6 inches because it's on fold, giving me 12. 12 plus 2 is 24, but because of I'm going to be pleating it, I made it 11 inches, adding 5. But I advise that you make yours more than what, 5 inches extra. You can make yours 10. I then went ahead to mark out my length, minusing 2 inches for my band. So my band, I minus 2 inches, and then the length I'm using is 17 and a half. You could see I minus 2 inches for the sake of my band area. You can make your band 1.5 to 2 inches, it depends on you. So that's just what I did. I'm just going to go around marking out 17.5 inches all around. You can see the way we did it, just the way we did for our paper illustration. And then after doing this, I'm just going to go ahead to cut everything out. Now you can see this slanted area. This slanted area is not going to be where we are going to be using to measure our crotch. No, this is a straight part. The straight area is where we're going to be using to measure out our crotch. That's where our crotch measurement is going to start from. So the slanted part is going to be at the edge, right? It's going to be at the edge, just to give it this A-line shape at the edge. So I represented this on another material. This is going to serve as my back, and I also left out space for my zipper allowance. So you could see the space that I left out for my zipper allowance area. So you should also do the same. I then came down by my crotch. My crotch is 10 inches, but then I added 2 inches extra because this is a short and you do not want it to be tight as the crotch at all. And then I came in by 1.5 inches. I came in by 1.5 inches, connecting it all the way to the waist area. And remember guys, we minus 2 inches for our band area. So do not make your crotch length to be exactly, make it at least 2 inches loose. After doing this, I then made a curve at this point. You could see the curve I made. It is also essential you make the same curve, right? You could see. And then this bottom part, I came in by 2 inches. I came in by 2 inches at this bottom part, and I'm going to be connecting it. You could see what it gave me. It gave me a slanted line. You will see what it gave me. And after doing this, what I'm just going to do is to go ahead to cut it out. So you're going to cut out the front part before you cut out the back part, and I'm going to be telling you why later on. So I just went ahead to cut out the front part before cutting out the back part. After I was done cutting out the front part, we're just going to go ahead to cut out the back part. And why I said you should cut it separately is because of, remember, you left space for your zipper allowance, right? So this bottom part, you're going to cut it the same with the front, but then for this upper part, that is the crotch length, you're not going to be cutting it the same because you are going to be adding your zip. And if you are adding your zip, you have to make space for what, zipper allowance. So you could see that I left a little space. You could see the space I'm leaving. So your space should be about 1 inch. You could see the space I left out for my zipper allowance. So I did not make it to be exactly the same. So you should not also, if you know you are going to be adding a zip to it. Now this is what it's looking like after we were done cutting it out. So what I'm just going to do next is, you could see this area that I'm chopping down, that's my crotch length. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to be stitching that area, this area from that point to my crotch length. You could see this area that my fingers are running through. I am going to be stitching that area, and I'll also be doing it for the back also. Now after stitching it, this is what it's looking like after I stitched this part. You could see, and I also repeated it for the back part also. You could see, and you could see the space for our zipper allowance area, the space I left out for the zipper allowance area. You guys, this tutorial is very easy, so don't worry, you're going to understand. So what the next thing I did is, this area we're going to start pleating it. And remember, my waist is 24 inches, so if I'm pleating this middle part, here is going to give me 6 inches, the other part is going to give me 6 inches, giving me 12 inches, and I'm going to be leaving about half an inch for allowance. So you could see the way I pleated it. I'm just going to use my tape to check if it's giving me 6 inches, and it's supposed to give me 6.5, because half an inch is going to be for allowance area. So this gave me 6.5, and yeah, I will just pin it down. I also repeated the same process at this part. Now pleating this is totally optional to you, any direction you want it to face, that is totally fine. So I just used my tape to check if it gave me 6.5, and it also gave me 6.5. I'm just going to sew it with my machine, and this is what it's looking like after I was done sewing and ironing it. Now this is what it's looking like. You guys can see how it is looking after we were done pleating it, right? And I repeated the same process at the back also. So you could see that I stitched the area that I pleated, so you should also stitch that area also. I then placed the back on top of the front. That is just what I did. I placed the back on top of the front. You could see what I did. Now we are going to go ahead to stitch the bottom part also. So I'm just placing it carefully, making sure that they are both what equal. That's just what I'm doing here, making sure that they are both equal. So you have to make sure that they are all equal, and after doing this, I'm just going to stitch it. You could see the area that I'm using my fingers to run. This is the area that I am going to be stitching. Just watch where my fingers are directing you to. That is the area that I am going to be stitching. After stitching it, this is what it's looking like. You can see what it is looking like after I was done stitching it. We stitched the bottom part, we have also stitched the crotch area, so you could see what it's looking like. The next thing is to stitch the sides area, so I'm going to go ahead to stitch both sides. And after stitching, this is also what it is looking like after I was done stitching the sides. I'm stitching both sides together. Right? And you can see how it's looking like. And I also stitched this other part also. So we have stitched the side. The next thing we're going to do is to fold the bottom part, just your basic folding. You just go ahead to fold the bottom part also. You are folding the two parts for the two legs. And after I was done with that, now I'm going to be creating our band. So this is on fold currently, and then you're just going to measure your total waist circumference, adding a little bit for allowance. And then remember, we minus 2 inches for our band, and because we are going to be folding this band, I'm using 4.5 inches. So after I'm going to be done folding it, it's going to give me 2 inches. I added half inches to the 4 because of stitching allowance. And then this is what is looking like. I just marked it, and then I placed it on top just to join it to give me exactly the same length. So this should be about 26 inches. Remember, my waist is 24, but because of allowance, I made my band to be 26 inches. And this is what is looking like my band after I folded it together. You could see, so this is 26 inches long. I added 2 inches for the sake of allowance. So you could see what my band is looking like. I folded it, and then I'm just going to go ahead to join it together to my shorts. I'm going to go ahead to join it together with my shorts, starting from the zipper allowance area. I'm going to start joining through the zipper allowance area. So that's where we're joining it through. And this is what it's looking like, guys, after I was done with this. So this is just what it's looking like. So I'm going to go ahead to add in my zip to the back part. I'm going to be adding my zip to the back part. So you guys, this is the end of this tutorial. So easy. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, to like, and also to share this video to someone that you know is going to learn something. See you guys on my next tutorial.